What's happening, guys? I finally got my hands on the new Universal Audio anti-pedal. Now, this has been quite a unique pedal in the Universal Audio lineup, because until now they really haven't had anything super high gain. It's always been more of a vintage flavor of pedals that you've gotten from this company, with the Lion being kind of that initial little dipping your toes into what can produce a good amount of gain, which I still have my Lion. Absolutely love the thing. I think it's hands down the best sounding plexi in a box I've ever heard, and we're gonna see if the anti can kind of live up to the hype that all of the previous pedals have delivered so far. So before I get any further, I'm going to go ahead and just throw this out there. I paid for this pedal. I did not ask Zounds for one. I figured they're probably busy fulfilling all of the orders, since this is a brand new unit. There's a ton of hype, and it seems like it's being extremely well received. So I went ahead and just bought this thing. I love all the Universal Audio pedals that I've had so far, and just first impressions, this one is no different. This thing sounds ridiculous. I do have it paired up with the DelVerb, just a companion pedal for a little bit of ambience and delay and stuff like that. We're going to check that out. Got a little flavor of it there in the intro. I have also run this thing into the aux stomp pedal, and like you would imagine, it sounds extremely good through that thing as well. So, kind of no surprise there. We're also going to take a look at the phone app. I know that's kind of a touchy subject for some people. They don't want to have to use a phone app, and we're going to kind of go through there and see what does it have and how much can you get away with just using the pedal and not having to fool around with the app. And are the settings in the app more of kind of like a set it and forget it type thing, and then most of your interaction will be with the pedal itself? Or do you really need this thing, this app open and connected to your pedal all the time? Which, if you're playing live, that's just an accident. That's an accident waiting to happen right there. So we're going to see how dependent this pedal is on the app, and we're going to kind of see what all the unit can do. So yeah, let's go ahead and get cracking here. I've got the Schecter today with the Alpha and Omega pickups, and it's going straight into the pedal, into the DelVerb, and into the interface. And I got the overhead cam here. We're going to be kind of taking a look mainly at the controls here. So I got a good angle on that for you guys. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to listen to all 6 of the cabinets. There's 3 that initially ship with the unit, and just like with the Lion, once you register the pedal through the app, you get 3 more virtual cabinets. So we're going to listen to those. We're going to check out all 3 channels, and we are going to check out the 2 different boosts as well. So let's go ahead and get cracking here. We'll turn a little reverb on. Actually, let me hop over here into the app, because it does have a room sound. Again, Universal Audio's room is just, it's an incredible sounding, very natural, without being kind of over the top, kind of slap you in the face with like too much reverb. It just sounds right, and that's kind of like the best compliment I can give it. So let's go ahead, turn this boost off here, and we'll go to the crunch channel. Weird volume boost there. So I need to throw one more disclaimer out to you guys. I've never actually plugged into a 5150. I've always seen them in Guitar Center, but assumed, oh, well, I'm a Guitar Center, I can't really crank this thing up, so I can't really get to experience what these legendary amps are capable of. And I've never really sought out a 5150 either, because I've always had this impression in my head, well, this is that, it's a metal amp for the caveman, whatever. I don't need something with that much gain. I want to pull back and have more of like that vintage flavored high gain type sound. So I've never really pursued actually owning a 5150, and I've honestly been surprised at the flexibility that this pedal offers. And with as many people are saying how accurate this thing is, it does kind of push me to want to try out a 5150. I've played the little one of the small 5153s, but never one of the original 5150s, and I've never played a 6505 either. So this is kind of my first, foray into this high gain PV circuit. If you don't count the Titan amp that I used to have, which was kind of a mix between a 5150 and an SLO. Really missed that amp, but whatever. We're gonna get going here. I'm on the Crunch channel, and I'm gonna raise the volume up some here. And let's go ahead and get some room going. This is the room at halfway. Room at max. That's a lot of room. That's way more than I would use, but it's cool that it's there, and I can definitely... I feel like I've heard that type of sound in some of the high gain music that I've listened to. So it's cool that it's in there. This will pull back a little bit. That is the room sound. Now, let's go ahead and we're going to poke around at this app a little bit here. So as you can see, there is a Tube Screamer and a TC Electronic style boost that you can use. And I like the Tube Screamer because it kind of pushes the mids and the lower mids in a way that I think fills out the sound really nicely. The TC has a much more sharper attack and more kind of like an immediate attack with less of that mid-range push. So let's go ahead here and hear how it sounds on the Crunch channel. This is, again, the Tube Screamer. And with the same settings of the actual boost, you've got your low, mid, and high, or excuse me, you've got your overdrive, your tone, and your level for the pedal if you flip the switch up in the alt control mode. So let's go ahead. Again, this is no boost. Tube Screamer. And the TC. I haven't messed around with the TC boost in a whole lot, but I feel like the qualities that the TC have, the pedal itself already has in terms of just like being able to push the highs, getting that really crispy, sharp attack. But the mid-range control on this and the resonance, it doesn't fill out the lows and the mids the way that the Tube Screamer does. So I feel like the Tube Screamer is kind of a better complement to how I prefer to dial in the pedal before I add the boost. So go back to the Tube Screamer here. And yeah, so I do have the bright switch turned off again. This is a really just powerfully bright, sharp sound. Turn the bright on. I mean, it does add a lot more clarity and kind of crispness to it, but I don't really think it needs it. Because if I want more... like, that's plenty for me, so I really don't feel like I need more from the actual bright switch. Okay, maybe I was wrong. That does kind of tweak it just the right way. I'll leave that on and just sort of kind of keep my eye on that one as I do some further tweaking. I will say, most of my time has been spent on the lead setting of the pedal, which is much brighter than this crunch setting, but I feel like I've gotten a really nice kind of middle ground high gain sound here from the crunch channel. All right, noise gate. You can see my noise gate settings here on the app. It's a very powerful noise gate and can quickly kind of choke the life out of the sound. So I feel like right around halfway seems to do the trick for me. And again, it's a really good noise gate, and you don't need the app to control the noise gate, which is a really nice thing. On the Lion, it does have a built-in noise gate as well. But you have to use the app to access that. With the anti-pedal, you do have, in the alt mode, you do have control over the gate itself, which is a really handy feature to have. And I'm not mad that it's not available on the physical pedal of the Lion, because that very much is a kind of set it and forget it setting. But on this one, I can envision, especially playing live, you needing quickly to tweak that thing just in case you're feeding back, and not having to open up an app, connect to the pedal, and kind of go through all that. It's a really nice touch that they've put this in the pedal itself. Input routing, I've got it on high. Bias mode, I like the warm and the warm choke. Both sound really good. I believe, just from kind of secondhand absorbing 5150 facts through the years on guitar forums, that the 5150s are biased fairly cool. So that's how the pedal comes by default. So this is the cool setting. And warm. All right, post gain. I think that this is power section gain, like that you would get from really pushing the amp. I'm not 100% sure. I'll put little notes on the video if I'm wrong, or if there's any kind of further information that I can give you guys. So this is with post gain all the way off. That is spicy. Let me check my levels real quick. All right. I think I'm good on the levels. Okay, I think I heard it clip there for a second. Let's pull this unit down here. like it at halfway. I don't know if it's adding much gain. If it is, my ears are having a hard time discerning how much it's actually adding, but I'm going to go ahead and leave it at half just because it gives me a little bit more headroom on the pedal itself. So that's kind of it. That's what you get in the app. Now, I have a feeling, getting back to my in the opening, I have a feeling that this is going to be a set it and forget it type deal with the app. Again, with the overdrive, you might want to change to a different overdrive, but honestly, I feel like it's a very different sound from the two different gains, and I think that most players might kind of settle on a favorite and just enjoy it that way. Bright switch, again, I feel like that's another kind of set it and forget it type sound. Noise gate, you can, tweak it in a lot of different ways here, but in terms of just a pure, does it cut off the sound if it's noisy, yes or no, the pedal itself takes care of that. You can mess with that on the pedal. Input routing, I didn't do that. Low and high, I'm guessing this is kind of like a JCM 800 type thing where you get more gain and less gain. I don't know. See what happens. Very slight difference, but it is there. So yeah. And again, bias mode and post gain and room, I feel like all three of those, for me at least, those are going to be just set it and forget it settings that I'm never going to really mess with. So go ahead and save this preset here. And let's check out the rhythm channel, or the clean, I guess it technically would be. So one thing that I just noticed, I caught out of my peripheral vision, this changed, the phone screen changed when I flipped it over. So it looks like you've got 3 different sets of settings that you can use on this pedal. And again, flipping back over here, it flips to the settings that I just went through. And on this, you can see the post gain is down. And this kind of answered a question that I had kind of going through my head a minute ago. When I went from the lead channel to the crunch channel, I had that volume drop. And that's because previously when I was messing with this app, I set the post gain on the lead channel up nearly halfway, and the crunch channel was down at the bottom, hence the big volume discrepancy. I'm willing to bet now that I have both of these. Let's go ahead and set this kind of right there in the middle also for the lead channel. Now going from the crunch, the volume difference is gone because the post gain settings are the same on both of those channels. So that's cool. Okay, let's go. Again, we're gonna set this post gain here, and all of the the bias and the bright switch and all that stuff, the input routing, all of that is specific to the channel that you're on. So that's really neat that they give you this option to customize all 3 channels in very specific ways. I definitely think the bright switch on the rhythm is a little bit too aggressive. Okay, that was neat and surprisingly usable. Again, I never envisioned the 5150 as having a clean channel that players used very frequently, but I found that was surprisingly usable. A little bit on the brash side, even with the tweaking that I did. But again, I feel like that's not really what this pedal was made for, and it's not made for the players who want a good clean sound. It's good that it's there, but I feel like something like the Ruby or the Dream are much, much better options for that. And if you really want to flex that universal audio pedal board, you could have something like one of those two units set up for a really, really fat, nice, clean sound, and then use like an A/B switch to flip over to something like this, and then have them both going into the DelVerb, then both of them into the aux stomp. Again, you got that stereo, full stereo path. There's nothing stopping you from doing that other than something like that putting a huge dent in your wallet. But I bet it would sound really, really good. All right, let's go to the lead channel. All right, let's play around with the, actually, I want to go back to the crunch channel, and I want to play around with some of these boost settings. All right, the overdrive, tone, and level, let's set all of them to noon. Kind of see what we get. I'm an idiot. That changed it. Hang on. I'm going to bounce back to the preset. All right. Alt mode, that helps. All of them to the middle position. The low end on this pedal is ridiculous, and I ran it earlier through my FRFR, and it was just nutty how much low end it has. But it definitely does get to a point where it becomes way too much and sort of gets a little too fluffy and boomy. So managing your low and your resonance is key, because pushing them up to that limit really is where I feel like this thing sounds the best. But anything beyond that, and it quickly goes into, whoa, that's way too much. Gain. It lost the bite right there. I feel like right there. Yeah, it lost a little bit of something right there going that last little 15% or so. But yeah, right around halfway, between halfway and 2 o'clock, I really like the way that sounds. I think we have poked around at this pretty decent amount. Actually, let me hit up these presence and depth controls here. PV calls it resonance. Let's see here. All the way down, yeah, I thinned it out pretty hard. I can't. Oh, man. Whew. Say what you will about how this thing operates, but comparing this to, I would like to think, any other thing that tries to emulate the sound of a 5150, they put the good, the bad, and the ugly into these units. There are some devices where, you know, if you're listening to, oh, I want to have a plexi sound, it's almost like it's this polished, idealized version that you think a plexi sounds like, and it's really hard to get that really nasty, flubby, flabby, blatty, I guess that's a description, I don't know. There's a sound that you can put, you can get out of a plexi that is absolutely disgusting in the worst possible ways. And on the Lion, you can absolutely do that, but you can also dial in these really beautiful, lush, creamy, high-gain sounds out of the pedal. And I like that they gave you the ability to do that, because I feel like that's kind of what makes the circuit, is you gotta take the bad with the good. And that kind of reminded me of just getting an absolutely horrid sound out of the pedal that I'm almost positive you could probably get out of the amp itself if you crank the presence on a real 5150 the same way. I believe that accuracy is what makes these pedals so good. So we're not gonna do that again. That hurt. Okay, let's go and check out some of these different cabinets. I've been on the UK Vintage 30 cabinet, you know, my old girl, my standby. Let's go to the CA V30, which is, I assume, a Mesa cabinet. a really good sound. All right, next one. Creamback, I assume. Turn the bright switch off. Another really good sounding cabinet. Like with the Lion, every single one of these, you do need to tweak on it to really get a complementary EQ setting from the pedal to really kind of go with the voicing of the cabinet. And like with any other digital unit that I use that has any sort of cabinet emulation on there, I like to start with the cabinet itself and kind of work my way back towards the amp in terms of really kind of tweaking on the sound. So let's go to the next one. I'm not sure what it is. I will have it in a little annotation here. Not really a fan of that, to be honest. I feel like there's no amount of tweaking on there that can dial out the sound of that I don't really like. It's kind of like this weird mid-range thing going on. All right, next cabinet. Let's pull some of these back. Don't really like that one either. Again, there's something weird with the mid-range on that one that I didn't like. It was more of an upper mid-range, kind of like this, like kind of like a snarly upper mid-range that you can't dial that out unless there's something that I just don't get about this pedal. But I really think that kind of the core voicing that you hear on these cabinets, that's what you got to work with, and you're just sort of massaging the sound around that. So, all right, last cabinet. All right, that's better. That one wasn't too bad. It was a lot better than the previous two, but I do, and again, you can disable the cabinet simulation altogether, just like you can on the Lion, if you want to run it into any of your CabSim impulse response loaders, what have you. I do still think that the Vintage 30 cabinet, spicy. Yeah, I just really like the way that sounds compared to the other cabinets. So yeah. All right. So what do I think? Well, final verdict. Probably not getting that yet because I have not gotten a chance to take this on stage. I do, however, have extensive experience with the Lion on stage, and I can tell you right away my complaint with the Lion as a stage device still remains with this unit, and I 100% believe this is a software situation that can be fixed, in that the preset switch changes between, again, if you have it set up in the app, I'll show you here in the settings. Right here, you can change what you want the two switches to do, and I think that having a switch for the overdrive boost and the other switch set to live and preset is the most functional on stage for me. However, the live and the preset toggles between a stored preset and whatever the knobs and switches are currently set to. And what I don't like about that is that if something gets moved around on the unit itself, all of a sudden the live setting is thrown off of what you would want it to be. Or if you have it in the preset setting where you've recalled a preset, any changes that you make, you have to hit the preset button to go to the live settings, which is not what you want, and then you have to hit it again to go back to your stored preset configuration. And I really don't like that, and it's kind of reared its head a couple of times on stage when people have either like brushed up against it with their feet, or a couple of times our singer's mic cable has gotten caught in the actual like you know, around here, and it's thrown off the sound. And if I'm not on, if I jump off the stage and I'm like, you know, playing, you know, in the crowd, which our band likes to do, and something happens to the unit, say maybe somebody from the crowd has come to dance on the stage and their foot bumps into the pedal. It's happened. The sound is all of a sudden all out of whack. What happens if they hit the volume knob in like just the right way that shoves it to where the volume is completely cut out? Oops. So what I really want Universal to do for these pedals, both this one and the Lion, is I want the preset button to toggle between two presets. That would fix this problem of if something happens to it in, you know, with your settings, you've got the button that you can hit and go to something else that you like. Or what I would probably do is configure a clean or light gain crunch setting out of one preset and then a high gain preset that I can toggle between the two, you know, like a 2-channel amp or something like that. But as it stands, you can't really do that unless you configure the knobs and switches to be how you want one sound to be, and then you toggle with the switch between those settings physically on the pedal and your preset settings. But again, if anything gets messed with, all of a sudden you've lost one of your sounds unless you know exactly where your controls were. So a very long-winded complaint there, but it's something that I feel very strongly about after having suffered a couple of issues on stage specifically regarding that. And it would be really cool to be able to have an A-B preset that you can toggle back and forth between. The aux stomp already does this, and that's kind of what is a bit frustrating with this, is that on the aux stomp you can have two completely separate presets and toggle between, you know, preset A and preset B. I want this on these drive pedals. I want a preset A and preset B toggle, and I don't know why we don't have that yet. So that's my biggest complaint with both the Lion and, you know, by proxy, this unit as well. So haven't gotten to take this thing on stage yet, but I can tell you just without a doubt, this thing through the FR sounds absolutely enormous. The low end is huge and it punches really, really hard. So if you're going to be using this on stage with, you know, just going straight into your PA to an FR behind you or whatnot, it's going to sound really good. I have not gotten a chance to run this into any power amp or my amps or anything like that. Not yet. We'll have a video on that, and I will have a video on running this into the aux stomp. So I'll probably put both of those things in the same video. So yeah, have not tried a overdrive in front of the unit yet. You know, again, with this much gain, I don't really think I need it, but might sound cool. I don't know. We'll have to try that out. So yeah, lots more fun to be had with this unit, and I can't wait to hear what it does on stage, even though it is a lot of gain for what we play, but I think I can pull it off, just being very careful with the with my volume pedal. And I don't know, we'll hear how Matchbox 20 sounds with a 5150 pedal on the stage. So anyways, I think that about wraps it up, and stay tuned for more UANT. What does anti stand for? I'm sure it means something. I'm sure that they've got some reason why it's called that, but I don't know why. So, anyways, thanks for hanging out with me, guys, and I will catch you in the next video. Take care. Bye. Oh, you didn't think you were getting away without seeing this thing. Boy, does this thing sound mean through this pedal. Much bigger, fatter sound than what the Schecter had. Not quite as sharp, but it does this. gate's really good.